I'm a Michigan constitutional crusader, rising up when the world goes cold. No badge can bring me, no chains can take me. Truth in my veins, a fire them bold. To fire them bold.
We're going to start this out with a picture of Darren in uniform and Darren's mugshot. Okay, when you first open this up in the Michigan court case search, it has case details. Case ID is 2024-24-002610-SD. The court location is the 22nd District Court, Division 2 in Clarkston. And it is the state of Michigan versus Ofiera. And the judge on record is Joseph Fabrizio. The filing date was 12/27 of 2024. The original charge was that of driving with a BAC, that's blood alcohol content, of 0.17 or greater. On 127, they lay out the posting of his bond. He posted a $2,500 bond. His bond conditions are to appear for all court hearings, not to leave state of Michigan without permission of the court, notify the court of any address changes, no alcohol, recreational marijuana, or illicit non-prescribed drug use, no driving without a valid license. All right, so that is his bond conditions. Now, in this first arraignment date, he was scheduled for a pretrial on 1/16/2025. And then on the 2nd of January 2025, that court date of 1/16/25 was removed from the calendar and rescheduled for January 21st, 2025. On January 21st of 2025, it was miscellaneous action, and then it was scheduled again for pretrial on 2/18/2025. Then on 1/24 of 2025, there is a notice of non-compliance. So I don't know if that means that he violated the terms of his bond in some way, or what that means exactly, but that's what it makes me think. And then there was a notice of to appear generated on 1/27 of 25, but it doesn't have any specific date to it. And then on 2/18, when there was supposed to be a pretrial, it was removed from the calendar, scheduled for another pretrial on 3/18/2025. On 3/18, it was scheduled for yet another pretrial date of April 8th, 2025. On April 8th, it was scheduled for a final pretrial of 5/19/25 and also scheduled for a jury trial on 6/12 of 2025. On 4/14, the case was changed. The charge was reduced to operating intoxicated instead of the operating with a BAC at or above 0.17. So the charge was dropped from super drunk to just drunk. And part of that plea deal was that he, pled guilty. He was disposed as guilty, and there was a probation screening, and he was scheduled for sentencing on 5/19/2025. On 5/19, the sentencing hearing was held. Part of the terms of his sentencing to probation was no use or possession of any alcohol. Random PBT/drug testing. Not to enter any establishment whose primary purpose is sale of alcohol not to use or possess any controlled substances. Probation oversight fees of $600. Crime victim rights assessment, $75. State cost for misdemeanor/ordinance, $50. Statute fine, $228. Court cost statute offense criminal, $342. The payment due date was set for 6/18 of 25. And it says jail term, but it doesn't have any description in there. It says credit for time served in jail. And then it says order for community service filed. And it says probation. It doesn't say anything about what the probation is in this section, but I will get into that in a minute. It says to take the prescribed medications, to do substance abuse outpatient counseling, to get mental health treatment, to get outpatient treatment program. It says no driving without a valid operator's license, may request a hearing for early discharge after half of the original term is completed. So that was part of the deal, them dropping it down to just the average Joe drunk driving, so he wouldn't get the super drunk charge. And yeah, he got probation. So we'll move on to the next section in these documents. Okay, guys, so now we're back to the second page of this to go over it a little more thoroughly. So we've got the original charge, operating with BAC of 0.17 or more, and then it was reduced to just a regular drunk driving under 0.17, and he got probation and some fines. Okay, so that's where we're at. And you got to think, going through that whole record, what was missing? What didn't you guys see there that should have been there? I can tell you what that is, but I'm going to wait till the very end of this video to tell you. Okay, so here is the disposition of the sentencing hearing. Okay, so he got 2 days of community service. 2 days of community service. I'm sorry, 3 days. 3 days of community service. And they gave him credit for 2 days in jail, which I'm sure wasn't 2 days. But whatever. That's neither here nor there. And then we've got no vehicle immobilization, which should have been necessary. We got no license suspension or anything listed. I mean, it's just, I don't get it. It's so weird. There's like nothing there. I don't understand how that's possible. But yeah. Let's see here. Yeah, and it doesn't say how many days suspended, restricted. None of that is on there. So they didn't put any parameters over his driver's license. They did at least tell him he needed to go to therapy and you know, and rehab and stuff like that. But that was it. Okay, guys. So basically, this is the end of the video now. And I really hope that you guys thought about that for the, I don't know, 30 seconds or a minute that I was making you wait. What charge do you think that is missing from this case that should have at least been included when he was first arraigned? Drum roll. Well, it's open intox. He had a bottle of vodka that was 7/8 drank, a half gallon that was 7/8 gone, and a full bottle. Okay, so the full bottle, well, it's full, so there's no charge for that. But that 99% empty bottle, that's an open intox. And he should have been charged with that too.